Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on communication, collaboration, and facilitation for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in the car, making copies, or on your lunch break and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Mary Beth Anderson, and I'm joined by two of my colleagues in the Office of Professional Learnings in Fairfax County Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Hallie Case.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Hazelbeck.
So today we are talking about some tips to move teams from having one lone leader, because we know how hard that can be on the team leader, and moving their team towards more of a self-led, self-directed team. And so as we were talking about this, we started thinking about some different skills that a team could have. And so, Rebecca, what are some of the skills that each team member would need to have to be able to move towards a self-led team?
That's a good question. So I think a lot of communication skills are going to be important in order for you to be a really good self-led, self-directed team. So when I think about the skills that everyone on the team needs, the first one that really comes to mind is active listening. You have to be able to be an active listener and help others to feel heard. And that should be a responsibility of everyone sitting around the table. And when we're active listening, we're pausing, we're giving people that space to communicate, that space to share their thinking, whether it be through a structure, through a think, pair, share, or a turn and talk, whatever it is, we're making sure we're listening to the individuals in the room. We're also paraphrasing one another to make each other feel heard, and to make sure we understand what other people's perspectives are in the room. And then I also think we need to be open to new perspectives. We need to be open to get those new perspectives out on the table. And we can do that through different structures as well and planning for that.
Yeah, the paraphrasing one makes me think about like our group, our team. So the three of us here, we don't have a team leader, right? And we, I think, try the best we can to exhibit these facilitative behaviors. And one of the ones that I think all of us use the most is that paraphrasing one, where it's not like Rebecca talks and then I summarize it, and then Mary Beth talks and I summarize it, but it's we're sharing, we're putting those ideas on the table, we're kind of brainstorming around them, but then, you know, someone will just kind of get a sense of like, oh, hold on. So there's three things we're really talking about here, and summarizing the group's thinking, right? And so if everyone on a team in a school is starting to practice some of those behaviors that Rebecca shared, then it's not, the onus isn't just on the team leader to do that, right?
Yeah, and I think doing these skills all the time, whether you're in the office, in the school, or at home. Like, I find I do my best with these skills when I'm doing it with my own children. So, like, when Madison's saying, Mom, I want to watch Blippi. Oh, you want to watch Blippi? Okay, let's run on Blippi. And, like, she just feels hurt and she leaves me alone for a few minutes.
Which is the ultimate.
No. But, I mean, you can practice them anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
And it makes me think we often provide training on these skills to just the team leaders in the school or the department chairs. And so how much more valuable it is when everyone around the table knows it, so that we're not just putting ideas on the table and waiting for one person to tell us it's time to move on, that everybody can have a role in that. So what could teams do, or what could they put into place to collaborate without just that one leader or without looking to that person?
Yeah, so I mean, I think one idea is what you kind of started to share is sharing the learning. So maybe if you're listening to the podcast episode on the power of the pause, you share that with the rest of your team, because there has to be sort of an awareness of these are expected behaviors for all of us. We all have agreed to strive towards functioning this way as a team. And I also think it's really important, if you're moving towards self-led, self-directedness, to know each other really well. Yeah. So spending a little bit of time either in your team meetings or outside of them, doing activities that help you share your working styles, or like knowing what each other's strengths are, values come to mind. And we've talked about like different tools for this in the past, just leadership compass points, and knowing if you're a north, south, east, or west. I think that might have even been our very first ever podcast episode. But like having those sorts of things starts to build that relational trust and having an understanding of each other, so that if you are using those facilitative behaviors and we know how each other function, then we're going to collaborate much more efficiently and effectively together with those two things in place.
Yeah, I think it helps to really eliminate conflict when we know
That's
each
a
other
great
and we
way of
know
saying it.
how we work well together. It helps to eliminate those conflicts. In
Yes.
the end.
Yeah, you can leverage those strengths from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, once teams, or maybe you're trying to sprinkle in the learning around facilitative behaviors and getting to know each other, but what would be one thing, or like a critical element that teams could put into place to be able to be more self-led?
I think having that common goal.
I do too.
That goal, that thing that they're working towards. I've worked on really good teams who don't have goals and really, really good teams who do have goals that they're working towards. So I think that's helping everyone figure out what it is we really care about for this unit that we want to accomplish, and making sure everyone's clear on that is going to be important.
And I think a small, simple way, if you're not sure where to start with goals, is make sure everybody knows what the 4 critical questions are. Like, I think that there are some teams where if it's been the situation where maybe for whatever reason it's only the lone team leader who's benefited from PLC learning, and others at the table haven't had that opportunity yet, they might not even know that they're working towards answering these 4 questions. So just being on the same page that, like, hey, the goal when we come together is to try to answer these 4 questions is a great way to start. And many schools also have smarter goals for each quarter on their team, right? They're working towards their school improvement plan goals. So you can draw from places. You don't have to always come up with something on your own if you're not sure where to start.
Right, and being really clear so everybody knows, and they have that
Yes.
ownership over the goal when they come together. So we have some resources to help teams even create those goals. So on our Instagram page and also on our Google site, and you can find it on Atlas if you're an FCPS, we will post a couple of resources. So one, we have an asynchronous module around creating team goals that you can use, slides to use with your team. And we also have asynchronous modules on the different facilitative behaviors like pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, and we'll also link our podcast episodes that share more details about those. So thank you for joining us today, and please tune in next week for more PD on the Go.